In this video, we're going to go through on Catholic High School End of Year Examination 2024 Primary 5 Mathematics, Paper 1. So let's get started on the first question. So we have here 100,000 plus 6,000 plus 50 plus 3. So how will this look like? Okay, so it looks something like this. So I put some columns so it's easier to see. So here 0003, this is 3. Then the next one is 005, this will be 5. Then we have only zeros, so then we just put 0. And then here is 06, we'll put here 6. And then the next one beside 6 is 0. And then last one you have 1. That's what you see over here. Whoops, can't go here and 1. Okay, so that's the answer. The answer to this is 100,000 106,053. So in this case, the answer to this is number 1, right? In this case over here. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. Express 20,400 milliliters in liters. Okay, so you know that 1 2 3,000 milliliters is equal to, right? So 20,000 milliliters. So 1,000 milliliters is equal to, let me just put it over here, right? 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter because we have 1,000 and divide by 1,000, right? So in this case for 20,000 milliliters, right? So we will just have 20,000 and then we divide by 1,000 and this will give us 20 liters. Okay, so I'm just gonna put comma so it's easier to see the thousand place. Okay, so in that sense, what about 400 milliliters, which is basically 400, and then we divide by 1,000. Okay, so if you were to, for example, put the dot over here as a decimal place. Okay, since we have over here 1, 2, and 3 uh, zeros, we're going to move the dot to 1, 2, and 3. So in this case, the dot will be in front of the 4. So that means this answer should be 0.4 liters. Okay, therefore 20,000 400 milliliters is equal to 20 liters plus 0.4 liters is equal to 20.4 liters. Okay, and the answer to this is number 3. That's what I see over here. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. So which line in the square grid is parallel to DNC? So you see DNC over here. All right. So I think it's pretty straightforward, right? The line over here, um, gonna make into a red line. So DNC like this. So if I were to have a ruler, so for example, I have a simple ruler like this. Okay, maybe something like this. It's a ruler, and this ruler over here is in gray color. Okay, maybe make it this, right? So what you can do is you can use your ruler actually, right? And then you can put your ruler or two rulers together like this. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit more, yes, a little bit more straight. Okay, so parallel is when you move your other ruler or this line, and then you just move, and you'll see that it lands on the A and B. So in this case, the answer to this is A and B, right? So like this over here. Okay, so A and B, DC and A and B are parallel. Okay, whoops. Yeah, just gonna put AB here. Then I'm gonna draw this, right? This is parallel. That's what you see over here. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 4. Okay. What is the value of 57 minus 5 times 3 plus 2? Okay, so for this, we have order of operations. So Usually it's just the first one is number one is brackets, then number two is the multiply or divide, and then number three is uh, plus add or subtract. Okay, so BME or in this sense over here. All right, so order of operations, just make sure that this is what you know. Okay, so from here, in this case, 57 minus 5 times 3 plus 2, this is equal to, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply first. So 5 times 3 first. Okay, so this is 57 minus then 15 plus 2. Okay, from here I think pretty straightforward. 57 minus 15 will be 42 plus 2. This will become 44. And the answer to question 4 is 44 in this case over here. So option number 2. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. So in 3.421, which digit is in the tens place? Okay, so let's go through. 3 is what place? 3 is in the ones place, and then 0.4 is in the, if you say one place, you're wrong. There's no such thing as one place. This is tenth place. Okay, 0.02. What about this? This is hundredth place. And lastly, 0.001 is equal to thousandth place. So to get the 10th place is number 4. So which digit? Digit number 4 in this case over here. Option 4, right? Okay, let's move on to question number 6. It says here, which of the following has the same value as 2400 divided by 3? Okay, so what we can do is, oh wow, okay, so there is certain thing over here, right? 2400 divided by 10 divided by 3. Okay, so when it comes to divide, obviously, when it's division equation, there should be no, what do you call this? Multiplication. Multiplication at all, right? Okay, so in this case, we already can cancel out two things. Okay, let me see if I have a shape for x. Okay, so first is this, cancel, nope. All right, and then second, we have this as well, nope. So when it's division equation, there should be no multiplication. Okay, so from this, the answer to this is 2400 divided by 10 divided by 3. Okay, it's pretty straightforward, right? So reason for this is because if you have times 3, you are just adding, so you want to divide this. So 2400 is equal to divide by 10 divided by 3. So in essence, right, this 2400, okay, right, is equal to 2400. Let me put it back. All right, and then we divide by 3 and divided by 10. Okay, so essentially this is it. It's the same as 2400 is divided by, okay, 100. So this is a few examples that this is true as well. Okay, so from here, hopefully this makes sense. All right, so in this case, this is the correct answer. Yes, so option number 3 in this case over here. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. Okay, so which of the following shows 3/5 of the figure shaded? Okay, 3/5. So let's go through each individual one. So 3/5. So first thing you need to take note is it must be take note, must be equal parts. Right? Okay. So in this case over here, number 2, not equal parts. Okay, so number 2 has not equal parts. So sadly, this should be wrong. So I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. 2 cannot. 3 also cannot because it's not equal parts. So we're going to put cancel here. Okay, these are equal parts, which is great. But however, the shaded is sadly half. So sadly, this is also wrong in this case over here. Right, the shader is half. So by elimination, you got one, but we need to double confirm. So we have in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we have 10 over here, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this case, the shaded part over here is 6 out of 10, right? Shaded is equal to 6 out of 10, but then if we simplify, it's 3 out of 5. Okay, so in this case, this is the correct answer. So put it over here. All right, I want to make this green. All right, great. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 8. Right, find the value of 2 out of 3 times 8. Okay, so in this case, pretty straightforward, I would say. So 2 out of 3 out of 8, if I were to make it into a fraction, 2 out of 3, right? So we just multiply it. Oops. Okay, so we times. So 8 is also represented as a fraction. If you remember, it will look something like this, right? It should be 8 out of 1. Okay, so you can multiply. So I'm gonna do this, okay, but not like this. Okay, so 8 times 2 times 8, right? Pretty straightforward. Okay, and then from here we can just work this out. Okay, so this will become, what do you think 2 times 8 is? This will become 16. 16 divided by 3, right? So what is 16 divided by 3, right? So if you need to, what do you call this, put in our workings, it will look something like this. All right, so you see when we divide, is basically 5 remainder 1. So in this case, what we're gonna do is we'll have the whole number. So I'm gonna put this as maybe pink, right? So this should be 1. Okay, I don't think I can. Okay, I can actually. So the 1 should be at here, and then the 5, okay, should be as the whole number. So dark green in this case over here. Right, so pretty straightforward. 5, 1 out of 3, and the answer to this is number 4 in this case over here. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 9. So in the figure below, EF, and GH are straight lines. Which of the following is true? So usually what I like to do is I like to draw out my what I call this, straight lines. Okay, so EF is straight, and then GH is also straight. That's what I see over here. Okay, so let's go through each individual options over here. So A and C. A and C are equal. In this case, it's not, right? Because if you want C to be equal, it needs to also include this little line over here. So in this case, this is wrong. Okay, sadly. All right, let's move on to B and D. So B is equal to D. So this is correct. Okay, because since these are two straight lines, this is correct over here. So B and D in this case, right? So we still want to double check whether the others are correct or wrong, just in case we want to make sure, right? Okay, so A and C. So A plus C is 180. Okay, so C is not 180, it is not 180, but they are definitely more than 180 because these are two obtuse angle from the way you look at it. So in this case, we know that number 3, this is wrong. And lastly, B plus D. Okay, so B plus D, these are two acute angles, and obviously this is also wrong. Okay, so let me put the explanation. B and angle, right? Oops, angle B and D, angle D, D are acute angles, right? So adding them will not make hits 180 degrees. Okay, that's what I see over here. All right. Okay, so B and D are angles, are acute angles, and they will not make them. So, right. So A and C are obtuse angles, and then that will make it more than 180 degrees. Okay, acute angles, and then that will adding them will result to more than 180. Then adding B and D is acute. Adding them to result to less than 180. So that's why these are wrong. Okay, in this case, I'm gonna put a rectangle over here, gonna put a rectangle over here, and I'm gonna put an arrow. So for this, the reason is here. This one, the reason is here. Okay, can I put gently? All right, great. And then lastly, A and C are not equal because in this case, A or angle A plus this, I don't know, plus angle C, angle A is not equal to angle C, as there is some space. Yeah, there's some space without, yeah, something like that left. Hopefully this makes sense. But yeah, in this case over here. Okay. Alrighty. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. I'll put this a little bit higher. Like this lah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. All right. So in the figure below, when QR is the base of the triangle QRS, which is the height of the triangle. So for QR, I'm gonna make it red. QR over here. So QR is the base. So I'm gonna write here base. Right. So QR is the base. Right. They always wanna confuse you. Right. So if this is the base, which is the height? Okay. So in this case, the base is the solid line, but it's still connected to V, which I'm going to put it here. So the height should be the corresponding uh, thing over here. So I'm going to put this as green color. So this is the height. Okay. So height, and this will be green color, height with a H, and I'm going to move this over here. Right. Base and height must be, or I need to put this as a dotted line as well. Okay, so just put above so at least you can see. So the height is S and V is here. So in essence, base must be solid line, and then height is perpendicular to base, right? So in this case, what is the height? The height is VS over here, or SV lah, right? So the answer to this is number 2, right? For 10. Okay, base must be solid line and height is perpendicular to the base. That's what you see over here. All right, let's move on to the next question, question 11. All right, so 3 containers with some water are shown below. Which container has the most water and which container has the least? Okay, so you see here, it's a bit hard to see, but right, in this case, we know that there is 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me make the line right a little bit smaller, just like this. So 1, okay, and 2. So this should be the shorter one, This should be the shorter one. So let me just quickly add some lines here. Okay, so hopefully this is a bit more visible as what I see over here. So we can actually count the number of gaps between this and 1 liter over here. So if I were to zoom in X, okay, so X over here has one gap, two gap. Let me put a rectangle. All right, so we have one gap, small little gap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1 liter, one gap, and 10 gaps. Okay, so in this case, let's write for X 10 gaps and 1 liter. So 10 gaps is equal to 1 liter. So in this case, one gap is equal to, so 1 liter is also 1000 milliliters. Okay, so one gap is equal to 1000, and then divide by 10, and this gives you 100 milliliters. So we have 4 gaps is equal to 4 times 100, 400 milliliters. So in this case for X, it is 400 milliliters, right? Okay, so yep. Then for this, we have the same amount of gaps, I believe. So I'll just put my rectangle over here that's red. Okay, so we're gonna put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So similar to this. So this is 10 gaps. Then for this, 10 gaps is to 500 milliliters. So I'm gonna put 500. So one gap will be 500, right? 500 divided by 10. This is 50 milliliters. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 gaps. Okay. 6 times 50. This will be 300 milliliters. Okay. And then lastly, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is 7 gaps. Right. 7 gaps is equal to 7 times 50. Okay. And this is 350 milliliters. All right. So from here, we know that X is 400 milliliters. This is 300. And 300 milliliters. And this is 350 milliliters. So I see over here. All right. So 6 gaps, which is here. I'm just going to put here. Right. Beaker Y. And then this is 7 gaps. Beaker Z. Right. So and X, yeah, there's 4 gaps in this case over here. So I'll put this here as one rectangle. Okay. And then I'll put this as another rectangle. That's what I see over here. Okay. So now I think it's easier to group them. That's what I see over here. So from here, you probably can answer. The most is 400 milliliters X. The least is Y. So X and Y, the answer to this is option number 4 in this case over here. Okay. So and make this toot. All right. Okay, so that's it. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 12. So the solid below is formed using unit cubes. What is the least number of unit cubes needed to add to the solid to form a cuboid? So cuboid, okay, so cuboid is basically just a normal non-cube. All right, something like this, right? Cuboid is just normal non-cube. So first we wanna what do you call this? Get the number of cubes. Okay, so I will say first layer, which is at the bottom over here. We can count, right? So in this case, 1 and 2, and then we have 3. So there's 2 at the back, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 at the back, 7 and 8. Okay, so first layer in this case is 8, right? So first layer is 8. What about second layer? Okay, second layer. So we have 1 2, not 2 only, there's one more at the back, so this is 3. And then third layer is 1. That's what you see over here. Okay, so we're going to put this layer as 1. It's a bit hard to put the layers itself, but okay, doesn't matter. So total cubes is equal to 8 plus 3 plus 1 equal to 12. Okay, so from here we know that there's 12 cubes, but we need to form a cuboid. So we also need to know the length, right? So length, breadth, and height. Okay, so we can get this breadth over here. So this is the length. Okay, length over here will be 4. Right. So let me see if I can put this 4. Length is 4. Okay. Then what about the breadth? The breadth over here. Okay. Let me just cancel this. So the breadth of this will be 3. Okay. So I'm gonna write down breadth is 3. And then 1, because we have 3, right, in this case. And then what about the height? Okay, cuboid, all right. So the height itself will be 1 2 3 as well. Okay, so breadth is 3, and then the height is 3 as well. Okay, length, breadth, and height. So cuboids, number of cuboids, number of cubes for cuboid, okay, which is equal to 4 times 3 times times 3, and this will give us so 4 times 3 is 12 times 3, this will be 36. Okay, so number of cubes to add to form cuboid, so this is total cubes of current, cubes 12, this will be 36 minus 12, which is 24 in this case over here. So the answer to this is number 2. All right, let's move on to question 13. Mila baked 120 brownies. She sold 45% of them. How many brownies had she left? Okay, so she sold 45%. So sold 45%. So what she's left with, which is 100 minus 45%, is equal to 55%. So from here, left a percentage, sold percentage. Okay, so left brownies. Left is equal to, in this case, 120 times 55%, which is basically 120. Okay, let me put this here. Right? Okay, so here. Okay, and I'm just gonna put like this so it's easier to. Okay, all right. So brownies left is 120 times 55%, which is also the same as 120 times 55 out of 100, right? 55 out of 100. Okay, so in this case, right, so what we're going to do like this. Okay, so we can cancel. So we can cancel the 0 and can cancel the 0 over here. All right, and then in this case over here, what we can do is we have 55 divided by 10, right? So this is the same as 12 times 5.5. Like this, 5 out of 10. Okay, so from here we can do our calculation, right? It should be around 66 in essence. Yes. Yep. So I'll do the workings for this multiplication. All right, so actually this 12 times 55 out of 10 is the same as 12 times 55 divided by 10. Okay, so in essence, yeah, that's how, it's easier, right? So 12 times 5, so 12 times 5, this will give us 60. And then we have a 0 over here, and then 12, then we have 12, all right, times 50, this will give us 600. So if you plus them together, this will give us, in this case, 660. Okay, so this will be 660. That's what you see over here. All right, from here, you can see the answer 660, and then we divide by 10 over here. Okay, and this will give us 66. Therefore, always double check your answer. The answer for question 13 is 66, which is option 3. All right, question 14. Asher had 56 kg of clay. He used one third of it to make some mugs. How much clay had he left? Okay, so in this case, basically, first thing first is one third of it means 1 over 3 multiply by clay, whatever lah. This means, right? So 1 over 3 means this, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna draw a rectangle for this. Okay, so we need to multiply. So in this case, I'm gonna put this as a fraction, as what you see over here. One third is what he used. Okay, but the thing is, what we want is, in this case, we want to know how much he's left with. So he used one third. So that means what he's left, right? Left is basically 1 minus one third in this case over here, right? And 1 minus one third, this will give us, okay, equal to 1 minus one third is equal to what? It's equal to 2/3, right? So this will give us 2/3. Okay, so now we know what is left. That means we can just multiply. So in this case, what's left? So clay left is equal to, in this case, let me just make another space. All right, so 2/3, okay, over here, right, times, right, times 56 kg of the clay. So 5 over 6. Right, so in this case over here, what we can do is we can cancel things out. So we can cancel 6, and this can be divided by 2. All right, so this will give us 1 in this case. So this is 1. So 6 divided by 2, this will give us 3 in this case, right? So with that, we can add the equal sign again. So basically, we just simplify across, right? So then this will give you 1 out of 3. Okay, I'm going to use this 1 out of 3. Okay, all right, and then we multiply, or to make this a little bit simpler, we multiply by 5, and then 3 multiply by 3. That's what you see over here. Okay, so in this case, let me put a line over here. So what would the final fraction be? So the final fraction will become equal to, it will be something like 5 over 9. There you go. So what he's left with is 5 over 9 kg, right? And for question 14, that will be option number 1. All right, let's move on to the last question, question number 15. All right, so Helen, Indra, and Jack were each given an identical chocolate bar. Helen ate 7/12 of hers, and Jack ate 1/4 of his. Indra eats more than Jack, but less than Helen. What fraction of the chocolate bar could Indra have possibly eaten? So we know that in this case, Helen has 8, 7, 12, right? So I'm going to put 7, 12. Okay, that's what I see over here. 7, 12 of a chocolate bar. And then Jack eats 1/4. Okay, so at the same time, not 7, 12, but 1/4, right? So we want to make denominator the same, so easier to compare, right? So in this case over here, right? Right, so gonna make this small, so make the denominator same, so easier to compare, right? So I'm gonna make it like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an equal sign, right? So 1/4, we then multiply by 3 in this case, right? So 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, so from here, this will then become 3 out of 12. That's what I see over here. Okay, now, so it says here, Indra eats more than Jack, but less than Helen. Okay, so Indra eats more than Jack and less than Helen. So that means for Indra, he is more than 3 out of 12, right? So I'm gonna, yeah, Indra more than 3 out of 12, but also less than 7 out of 12. Okay, so from here, we can technically see which one is, what do you call this? Which one is the one that is, what do you call this? That fits these two criteria. Okay, so first we need to make all of this into, what do you call this? The denominator the same, 12. So easier to compare, right? Okay, so first we're gonna make this 1/6 into the fraction. So let me just put this fraction a little bit smaller. Okay, something like this. Okay, so what do you think this will be? Right? Okay, so 1/6 we need to multiply by. So make this a little bit smaller. So, right, and something like this. Okay, so we need to multiply by 2. We need to multiply this by 2. So that means this will be 2 out of 12. Okay, so doesn't fit this criteria because it has to be more than 12. So in this case, this is wrong. Bam. Okay, great. Okay, next one, 5/6. All right, same thing. We need to multiply this by 2. Right, so I'm going to put it here, something like this. Okay, but the thing is that, is it 2 out of 12? It is 10 out of 12. However, it's should be less than 7 out of 2. So this is also wrong. Okay, what about this one over here? Right, so 1 out of 3 we multiply by 4. Okay, same thing with this, multiply by 4. So the answer to this is 4 out of 12. Is 4 out of 12 more than 3 and less than 7 12? Yes, it is. So this is correct. Yippee. All right, let's double confirm with the last option. This one is also multiply by 4. Okay, so in this case, we multiply by 4 for both. And 2 times 4 is 8 out of 12. And 8 out of 12 over here is not less than 7 out of 12. So in this case, this is wrong. So the answer to to question number 15 is option number 13. That's what I see over here. All right. There you go. So if you like this video, give a thumbs up. If you want more of this kind of video, subscribe down below and comment down what other papers you want me to go through next. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye bye.